The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking time to attend our webinar on the topic of automate your cash flow forecasts and account receivables collection with Sage 300. My name is Lawrence. I'm your host for the webinar. Now, more than ever, it's critical for you to be able to manage your cash flow effectively. To do so, you need to have real-time view into your cash flow position, as well as an effective tool to manage your accounts receivables collection so as to get paid faster. Our speakers today will help you achieve that. Charles Cheng, our Product Engineering Director at Sage, will share with you Sage CashView, an innovative cash flow management tool in Sage 300 that lets you gain real-time visibility of your cash flow projection, allows you to view dashboard and reports of your top debtors and creditors, as well as give you timely alerts when your cash balance is below the threshold. Next, Richard Haywood, Global Alliance Manager at Draycir, will then share with you how you can improve cash flow performance with Draycir's Credit Hound solution. Learn how you can collect money efficiently and quickly through the automation of credit control processes such as communications, alerts, and daily tasks. At the end of their presentations, we will have a Q&A session to answer any questions you may have. All attendees will be on mute. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them on the questions panel, which you can find on your screen. I will now hand over to Charles to begin today's presentation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. Let me just make sure that my screen is visible. Lauren, can you confirm that my screen is visible?
Hang on, not yet.
All right, so I think you should see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's get started. First of all, Sage CashView actually runs on top of your current Sage 300 implementation, whether you are on version 2016 all the way up to 2019, and it works both on the desktop as well as your web interface. However, if you intend to use it on your latest version of Sage 300, which is the 2020 release, then it will only at the moment work on your desktop version of Sage 300. Now, Sage CashView actually is designed to provide businesses a convenient way to manage and track their cash flow position. The design of CashView is to ensure that key people in a company that require information about their cash flow status should be able to access them without having to spend time in front of the computer screen inquiring about the cash position through the application that we provide. So we're designing it in such a way that the system will actually automatically detect the status and actually sends an email alert to key people that you have set up in the system. So in this particular example, I'm going to demonstrate the way the system behaves. First of all, let's take a look at the email account that I've created in Gmail, just to illustrate how this whole system works. The first thing you notice here is that I have an email on my dashboard, on my email inbox, that says that it is sent from CashView and it's an alert for a company called Allface Private Limited. So the purpose of this is to make sure that when you receive an email, you know that it is actually an important email because it is sent from an application that you know you have installed in your company accounting system. So the fact that it says sent from Sage CashView gives you that confidence that it is something important that you should actually open up and take a look at it. The fact that we also mentioned the company name that is affected will also give you a good idea. If you are managing multiple companies and you set them up in Sage 300, then it is important to know exactly which particular company is facing this cash flow crunch. All right, so let me just open up this email and to show you what actually is the content. You can see here the email actually consists of two parts, right? Now, the first part is basically telling you that you have a cash flow problem and please go into your Sage 300 accounting system and perform these 4 steps. Purposely, we have done it in such a way that the way to get access to the information is very simple and direct. And we know that as maybe the business owner or the CEO, it's seldom that you actually have normal access to the Sage accounting software. You typically leave it to your accountants to do all the use and preparation of your books. So when you need to get into the system to actually watch and manage your cash flow, you probably need assistance from your accountant, right? So this is the steps that you can use to pass to your accountant to say, can you follow these steps and then show me where my problem is? At the bottom of the email, you also see that there is a little image there, and the image says here that there is a Standard Chartered Business banner page that says boost your cash flow now. If you are a customer of Sage 300 located in Singapore or Malaysia, this message will be relevant to you because with the collaboration with Standard Chartered Bank, we are able to offer you some friendly business loans. However, the way we are doing it is that we are also analyzing your financial health to determine whether you actually meet the stringent criteria for a loan from Standard Chartered Bank. So when you see this message, you are actually quite confident that to some extent, your loan application or your loan request will actually be fulfilled. Now, with this information aside, now let's go into Sage 300 and see for ourselves how you will be able to manage your cash flow now that you know you have a cash flow position problem. I'm going to log into the web interface. Now, there is also a similar screen available in your desktop screen. So you see here, we have a CashView, SE setup, and there's also an inquiry function. So if I log into Sage 300, the web interface, I will also be able to have a menu item that does exactly what I can do in the desktop. Now, this is interesting because at this particular time, a lot of you guys may be working from home, right? Some of you may have already got your partners to configure Sage 300 web interface for your use so that some of your employees can actually still be productive working from home. So if I go into the CashView menu, I can see that I have two icons here. One is inquiry, one is setup. So let me go into the inquiry and select dashboard. The moment I go in there, you can see that I actually was again alerted to a situation that I'm facing with my cash flow. Remember, you received an email earlier. Now, when you are going into the software directly, assuming you are not a recipient of the email notification, you should also be aware that something is not right with your cash flow. So you should be able to immediately decide to take action. Similarly, the loan offer is also presented if you are eligible for it. We'll take a look at the loan offer in a little short while. So let us go straight away into the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is an interesting piece of work that we have crafted for our customers. We know that many of our customers are actually business entrepreneurs, right? And they typically do not know a lot about accounting principles in order to be able to take financial data and compute some of this. But certainly some of this information is very important if you really want to know the financial health of your business. So we have purposely selected certain widgets to appear in the dashboard that we think will help you as a business owners to decide whether you are really having a problem and where your problem lies, right? So first thing you want to take a look is on the top left-hand corner, you have the quick ratio and current ratio. Now, quick ratio and current ratios are very critical matrix that you certainly would like to monitor because this gives you a very high-level overview of your financial position. Now, you notice that in this particular company, even though they have a cash flow alert, the quick ratio and current ratio is showing very positive sign. They are all in green, and they have numbers like 2.34 and 3.05. Now, typically, these numbers do not go that high, right? It is usually around in the region of maybe below 1 or at most 1.1, right? That is a typical industry norm. If you see numbers like this, although it is positive, it doesn't reflect very well on the way you manage your cash flow because it basically means that you have too much cash in hand and you're not investing your cash in the right way. Hence, there is excess in cash, right? Looking at the middle panel, you'll see there are two very critical matrix that we have in place. One called day sales outstanding. The other is called day payables outstanding. Now, these are important because day sales outstanding and payables outstanding is actually a measurement of how long it takes in terms of days that your customer takes to actually pay you on average. Now, you look at the first instance here, obviously it's a bad sign. Your customers are taking 114.59 days to actually pay you. Now, if your typical arrangement with all your customers is 30 days credit terms, this is obviously a poor sign of your ability to collect money, right? Later on, when I pass you over to our ISV partner, they probably will show you a trick or two on how you can actually improve the situation in your business. Looking on the right-hand side, you have AR risk collections and cash conversion cycle. Again, these are matrices that I think are useful for any business owners. An AR collection is actually showing you how efficient you are in collecting money. The higher the percentage, the better it is. So typically, you want to expect to see yourself in the 80-90% range to show that your collection capability is very efficient. But if you're in the low 10s and 20s, it's certainly a poor sign that somebody in your company who's in charge of cash AR collection are not really pushing hard enough. Cash conversion cycle is also a very important matrix. It basically is a measurement of how effective you are in converting your stocks into sales, right? So obviously, if you take less time to convert stocks into sale, you will actually have a better inventory turnover, and therefore your cash flow shouldn't be in a problem. So you can see at a glance here, obviously there are very key signs that this company is not doing its best in collecting money and be able to convert stocks into sales. On the left-hand side of the screen, you also see there is also some summarized figures that will give you at a high-level glance the total money in your company and how much you're expected to go out of the company and what's the net cash position. You can see here there is a net cash position of minus 116,000. At the bottom here, you see a chart that is a combination of a bar chart as well as a line chart. Very interesting here. If you look at the axis at the bottom, you can see that it is not time axis, but it's more on time ranges. So you have the current range, you have 1 to 30 days, 31, 60s, and so on. This is basically helping you to see the projection of your cash flow into the future. Now, that is an important aspect of Sage CashView. This tool here basically do forecasting for you. We are not interested in things that has gone past. We want to tell you upfront whether you are facing a headwind in front of you and when is it going to happen. So by looking at this chart, you can see that at some point, the cash flow is actually going to go negative, somewhere in the region of 31 to 60 days, right? You can see here the line chart actually dips below zero, right? So you may see that the bars are actually showing the in and out of your AR and your AP, but you can see here, together with your bank balances in your general ledger accounts, it's actually going to go below zero at some point in the future. That is the reason why you receive that notification, because the system is detecting that you're going to have a problem 31 to 60 days into the future. All right, so now with this information in hand, you probably say, can I dig deeper and have a look at more specific numbers about my cash flow position? So go to the second menu item called Cashflow Summary. You can see here the screen actually displayed in a grid form. And I love this design because if you look at the way it's structured, across the page, you can see the time periods into the future, your current 1 to 30 days in the future and so on. Now, these time periods are not prefixed to these values. If you think that in your business, you want to see shorter time periods like 1 to 15 days, 16 to 31 days, and so on, you can actually make this change in your setup, right? It's fully highly configurable. There's no programming required. As long as you fit into the total seven columns that we provide, from current to the last column. Now, if you look down the page, you can see there are actually financial items, right? The first item is actually your cash opening balance. So we look at your general ledger account, we look at all your bank balances, which is, well, if you look at all your bank balances that you actually have a total amount of 624,000 of cash, right? It doesn't include your assets like your inventory and so on, right? So this is pure cash in hand. Now, if you look at the next rows, you can see that you have collection from customers, you have payments to suppliers. Essentially, we are showing you your AR value, your AP value for the current period, and what is the net position. And then right at the bottom here, you can see there is this cash ending balance. So if you were to say, if I collect all this money, if I make all these payments, at the end of that period, I would have $373,417 in my cash position. You'll see, interestingly, somewhere in the middle, it's called other activities. we know that cash flow is not single dimension, right? You know that cash flow sometimes means tracking things that you have in mind to do, either to sell or to buy something, right? That you certainly do not have it reflected in your accounting books at the moment. So here we allow you to actually enter your activities that you think will involve and affect your cash flow position. So if you look at the bottom here, I have a number of entries entered here that talks about amount of money that I will expect to spend in the coming periods, right? So if I want to add a line, let's say, for example, to reflect that I'm going to be spending something to open a new branch in a particular location, sometime maybe in December this year, I will be able to click on the effective date and choose a date in December, right? Let's say to the 3rd of December, I say opening new branch, and say I'm expecting to spend maybe a total of 500,000 to open that branch. As soon as I move up from that screen, you can see the numbers here will start to change, right? So let me type up from here, and you can see that this information is added, and you can see that the amount is immediately reflected in this column, and therefore your closing balance for that particular duration is now affected, right? So you can essentially even use this tool to do what if games if you want to see where your cash flow position is like as you spend money for different projects, or you may have things that you may want to sell off, maybe to improve cash flows and so on. You will see how it impacts you. This is a wonderful thing to do it. Whatever you enter here on this particular section for other activities, they are not updated into your accounting books. So you're free to play around with it. You're free to even delete away rows that you think are entered incorrectly, right? So whatever you do, it only affects the display of the current cash position. However, all the other numbers here that are pulled from your accounting data, they cannot be amended, right? They are going to be reflective of whatever has been posted into your system. Now, if you want a copy of this screen or this report or data, there are a number of reports that we provide at the bottom, right? So you have print inflow, outflow entries, print cash and bank accounts, print cash flow summary. Basically, the cash flow summary is actually a report that exactly matches what you see here. Now that you know you have a financial problem, the first thing probably is in your mind is, how do I go and collect money, right? So you want to know who owes you the most money. Now, although here this is not a full-blown AR cash collection capable function, but it certainly gives you a very high-level impression of who actually owes you the biggest amount of money, right? So you can see here, I have the top 10 outstanding balance listed here, with them also shown in a chart form. If you look at the information that display here, you can see that we also show credit limit and the highest balance. Now this is interesting because you can see here that this customer actually owes you $172,280, right? So is this something that you be worried about? Certainly it is, because it is also quite close to his credit limit. But you can see that you have actually allowed him to exceed that amount right up to $233,574 in the past, right? So maybe it is not that terrible for him to actually owes you that much money, right? But of course, if that is something that you should want to correct, this is a wonderful screen that tells you exactly who are the top 10 customers that you should focus on. Now, for those people who say that, what about all the other customers? Because when they add up, it's also a lot of money, right? So we also gives you a report, which we call print receivable forecast. Notice here the word forecast is used and not print receivable aging. So there's a slight difference here, right? So we're not showing you the age of people owes you money, but we are telling you going forward, in the next 1 to 30 days, this is the kind of money you're going to collect. In the next 31 to 60 days, this is what you're going to collect, and so on, right? So you can see from here, it is by customer and right down to the invoice level. We will actually shows you what you can expect to collect at different time duration. Now, we also have a case whereby if you are actually extending to your customer, let me see whether I have that customer inside here. I might have the customer here. Okay. Some of you who are using Sage 300 extensively, you probably will come across this feature called multiple payments, right? It is possible for you to extend to your customer credit terms in such a way where he pays you a certain amount 30 days from now, and then another amount 60 days, and so on, right? So this is what we call split payments. You can see in this customer called Breakaway Design, I actually have an example here where you can see this amount here, 3210 is repeated a couple of times, and then the last payment is 4280. And if you look carefully here, right, the invoice number is all the same, invoice number 12. This is basically reflecting that this customer has an invoice from you where you allow them to split the payments over 3 time periods. Now, obviously, in this situation, you want to report this forecast information accordingly, where the amount is reflected to be collectible only in those time periods, right? So this report is a very interesting report that certainly will be of big use. Now, we also have the similar capabilities with AP. Now, I'm not going to go into AP too much because I think the idea is the same. Yeah, from here, you can actually see who are your top vendors that you owe money to, and you may want to do something before they actually stop doing business with you, right? So again, here we also have a payables forecast report that gives you an idea for the next 30 days, 60 days, and so on, how much money you expect to be able to have in order to settle your outstanding balances with all these suppliers. Now, the last screen here in that whole menu item is the loan screen. Now, this screen here, when you click on it, is for you to submit a loan request to Standard Chartered Bank. Now, be very careful here. If you are not in Singapore, Malaysia, you will not be able to see this at all. So you're not going to be able to get all excited that you're going to apply for a loan with Standard Chartered Bank when you're not eligible for it, right? So first thing first, if you're not in Singapore, Malaysia, you don't even see this menu item. You don't even see the offer banner from Standard Chartered Bank, right? And the other thing that you got to watch out for is if you do not see this and you know you're in Singapore, Malaysia, then you probably do not meet the stringent requirement of Standard Chartered for a loan offer, right? So not to worry. I guess if you do not comply to that requirements of theirs, it's no harm to give them a call, right? To ask whether you're eligible. But should you see this ability presented to you, at least you know you have been pre-qualified to some extent. However, clicking submit here doesn't mean that automatically the money will be credited in your account, right? It is basically means that you're submitting a request to the bank and they will actually get someone to call you and actually work with you on getting the loan. But we understand that it takes only 48 hours for someone in Standard Chartered Bank to actually reach out back to you, right? And it is a shorter cycle for the moment you submit this to the final time where you get your the bank account, right? It's much shorter than if you walk up to the counter and ask to see a relationship officer and apply for a loan. Now, let me take a look through the screen and explain to you what is happening here. You can see at the top here, there are already some information that pre-populated for you. Notice here carefully here that the amount that is offered to you is 300,000 and the default requested amount is 300,000. So you can actually change to reflect the amount that you're interested in. You notice that when I click on the contact information, expand that section, contact information like phone numbers and emails and so on are already captured for you. The reason why it's done so is because we are actually able to take this from your company profile. Now, of course, if your company profile is poorly maintained, you do not keep accurate information about your company and the key persons, then of course this screen here will be not populated and then you have to actually manually go in and key in yourself. So it may save you a bit of time to actually revisit what you have set up in the company profile and keep it up to date. Looking down here, you can see that the system actually shows that the email that will be sent to Standard Chartered Bank for the loan request is actually coming from a person by the name of Lena, the office, right? So what happens here is that because I'm logging in as a person called Lena, my email ID that I have set up inside Sage 300 will automatically be used as a sender. So that is important because it also means that when that email goes out to the bank, it is actually formally coming out from a person in your company who has been properly set up in your system with a proper email account, right? So it's not going to be arbitrarily someone sending on your behalf. So it's going to be someone legitimate in your business. It is also going to be sending to the Standard Chartered Bank email account. Now, this is a dummy demonstration system. So I'm actually using gmail.com. Right? The simple reason is because later on when we click submit, I want to be able to show you how the email looks like when they are received in Standard Chartered Bank. So if I don't use a dummy setup here, then probably it goes to Standard Chartered Bank, and someone will be calling me very soon, asking me whether I'm interested to take up the loan, right? So which is not the case, right? Now, if you want to send them some additional information about maybe please contact me during weekdays only from 9 to 12 and not in the afternoon, you could actually add additional comments so that they can pick it up and do likewise for you. Now, before you can actually click the submit button, you notice that you must click on view terms and condition. All right, you scroll down and read through. It's not that long, it's just a few paragraphs. Click accept, and you can see that now you can select on the checkbox, and then next moment the submit button is displayed. So now if you click on submit, the system will say, are you sure you want to submit the loan request? If you say yes, the system will now send that email to Standard Chartered Bank. I'm going to show you exactly what is being sent so that you don't get apprehensive that a lot of financial data is now being exposed to a bank where you may not actually get a loan, right? So now what happens here at the bottom, you can see there is the loan activity log. It shows you that you actually submitted a loan for $300,000 on this particular date, all right? And if you want to, you can also see that you can also change the status to reflect that maybe you decide to cancel, you want to update the system, say that you cancel the loan request, or Standard Chartered Bank mentioned to you that, sorry, we didn't receive your loan submission. Can you resend? You can come in here and click on this button here to resend. Now you notice that when I go back here to the inbox, I have another email now, right? So this is exactly what's happening. I am actually getting a copy of the email that I just sent to Standard Chartered Bank, right? Now to show you what I was sent, and there's no financial data being disclosed at this particular moment, you can see here the information are exactly the information you actually see on that loan submission screen, right? Exactly the same and no difference, right? Including the terms and conditions that you agree upon, right? Bear in mind that at no time, all this information is being sent to Sage, right? Sage is actually neutral to this whole arrangement. We just provide you with the software. Should you click submit, it's between you and Standard Chartered Bank to decide whether you want to take up the loan or you want to proceed with the loan. Sage has no interest at all in whatsoever in the whole arrangement. Now, basically, this is a wrap up of all the flow of the system from start to end. However, I would like also to touch on a couple of areas that I think may be of genuine interest to you, which is the setup option screen. Now, in the setup option screen, this is where you define the company, the name, the contact information, and so on. And more importantly, this is also the place where you specify the duration that we talk about, the 1 to 30 days and so on. So if you think that this is not 1 to 30 days, you want to change to 1 to 15 days, you can actually make the changes here. As long as you know that you only have 7 buckets to play around with. There is also a feature here we call the threshold. Now, this is something that I didn't mention earlier. Now, obviously, you do not want to wait until your cash position goes to negative before you get the alert. That is too late, right? Certainly, you want to be able to be prompted that you have a potential cash flow position way before that. So if you think that you have a threshold value that you want to use to indicate that if anything goes below that threshold value, you want to be notified, you can actually specify in this particular field here. So in this particular instance, I've indicated 500,000, right? So at any one time, the cash flow goes below 500,000, right? The free float in my company with all the ins and outs taken into consideration, it goes below 500,000, I will receive an email and I will be able to see that warning message when I log into the system. In the accounts tab, you can see that I have selected a couple of accounts. Now, basically what happens here is that we will go into your general ledger, pull out all your general ledger account that is involved in storing cash and cash balances, and we actually will allow you to choose which one will actually be involved in the calculation of cash flow, right? So sometimes it is not necessary for you to include things like petty cash and some of these accounts that maybe is used for credit card, right? So and so on, right? So you may want to exclude them, and this is the interesting place for you to actually use that feature. You saw that we are actually making use of email to actually send a lot of notification, right? So you probably wondering, how did the system be so smart to know how to use my email? Well, this is the screen where you actually specify your email settings, right? Whether your email server, what is the account to use, and so on. And you also see there's some advisory here. The reason is because it's very important for you to understand when you set up the system and you indicate certain people will receive the email notification, that you know that this information can be very sensitive to your business. So certainly you do not want to loosely choose someone that is not required to be made aware of for cash flow position, right? So here we are advising you, choose carefully who should be the recipient of all this email notification. Again, here we also want you to confirm that you understood that the use of this thing is for this purpose and nothing more than this purpose. So I think in relation to the GDPR, the laws, I think it's important that we seek your consent before we actually go ahead. You can actually use the system without email notification, right? Certainly that is possible, because if you go into say that you do not want to use email notification, you can actually specify that you do not want it in this particular screen, right? So it's perfectly fine. You can still use the screen, except the only time that you know of any problem is when you log into the system and go into this function. Then it will tell you have a warning. This is the situation you're facing. Please do something, right? But I think most people will have the email notification turned on, because it's such a wonderful feature. It allows someone in your company who is the decision maker to be able to alert it, even though he or she may not be set up to access Sage 300, right? So typically CEOs probably don't want to access because they don't want to waste a land pack, just because you know, they need to do this occasionally, then they will be wasting one land pack, which is expensive, right? So with this option, they can actually receive notification outside the system without actually spending money on land packs. One last area before I hand you back to Lauren is there is this file called the SCINI. For those people who are a bit more technically savvy using our product, you'll notice that we actually make use of INI files in the installation folder to actually change the behavior of the program, right, without having to go back to us and asking us to modify the software. So for example, in this particular screen here, in this particular INI file, you can see here I have settings for the matrices that are used in the dashboard, right? So to say that quick ratio break is 1.0, current ratio break is 1.1. So the moment the value that I compute goes below this value, I will show red color, right? And instead of green color. So this is where you actually change it. Great thing to do, because sometimes in your industry, your business may not see 1.0, 1.1 as a typical breakpoint. So your business may be a bit more flexible. 0.9 already, you want to have a breakpoint. And in terms of current ratio, maybe you're a bit more flexible, you want 1.2. So by all means, go and set the values so that when the system displays a value, it will show you using colors to address the issue of whether it is poor or good. All right, that basically wraps up my demonstration. I hope you have a good understanding now of what CashView is all about. I'll now hand you back to Lauren. Sorry, I'm not supposed to hand you back to Lauren. I'm supposed to hand you back to Richard, who will now show you how his product is able to complement Sage CashView in your cash flow collections. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Richard Hayward. I've been invited on today's session. I work for the company Draycir, and we are the developers of a AR collections automation software with the name Credit Hound. So Credit Hound is a very popular, very well established accounts receivable automation software linked to Sage, specifically Sage 300. But also other Sage products too. We have thousands of users worldwide, and the number of organizations from small to very large organizations that use the Credit Hound software today. And it's really helped them put procedures and processes in place to make their collections more efficient, provide some automation functionality, and ensure that their company cash flow is as good as it can be. So Charles talked very well about improving cash flow, about predicting payments that are going out. Of course, what I'm going to be talking about is money that's owed to you as a business. So this is services you provided, products you provided, and you've invoiced your customers. So this is what Credit Hound is all about. It's putting a process in place around your invoice collections. So credit control or accounts receivable is a very traditional task. It's still done the same way it was maybe 10 years ago. A lot of you will print off an aged debtors report on a Monday. Maybe some of you will create the report in Sage 300 and export to Excel. The issue with this is once you've created the report, it becomes immediately out of date. Okay, so when you're looking to check incoming payments, that aged debtors report is not reflected on your debtors report you've produced out of Sage 300. So what you want is a system like Credit Hound that is linked directly to Sage and is up to date, and will be able to see all the payments that have been made to the account. It stops you from chasing somebody that has actually already paid you. So it saves you any embarrassment of this situation. So Credit Hound can help businesses to automate a lot of tasks like generating emails. It can also schedule telephone calls. But the key difference is instead of having one collection process for all your customers, with Credit Hound, you can have lots of different collection processes. Because if you think about your own business, would you speak to your customer, your best, largest customer, the same way you would a smaller customer that never pays you on time? The answer is probably no. You would treat your largest customer very differently. You would maybe only have telephone conversations with them, and then the smaller customers, you may be happy to send regular automated emails at set times. So this is the thing with Credit Hound. We can have lots of different procedures in place. So it links directly to Sage 300 seamlessly, so very quick and easy to install. We can arrange a lot of different workflows or rules and actions. The reason why we would send an email is based on criteria. So criteria is if the invoice is over a certain amount in value, if the invoice is a number of days past due, and so on. If you group or categorize your customers already using things like optional fields from Sage 300, this can be displayed in Credit Hound also. So Credit Hound will display all your notes and all your history against the customer transaction. So it means that when you have to share reports with your CFOs or your financial directors, reporting is very easy with Credit Hound. So you can share this information with lots of different people. Now, when it comes to collections, there is very often that invoices have to be put in query or logged in dispute. What does this mean? Well, it means that if I'm chasing somebody for payment, so if, for example, I was chasing Charles for an invoice payment, and Charles said that I forgot to send all the goods, maybe some were missing, then I can log this in Credit Hound and escalate it to maybe the sales manager or maybe the warehouse manager. So they can respond to say, oh yes, we did forget to send all the items to Charles. We will fix this. Because me, as my job in credit control, I'm not aware if the operations or the warehouse manager sent out the goods. I must check with that person. So Credit Hound allows us to log and record all these different examples of why someone is not paying on time. So within Credit Hound, you're now seeing the dashboard. I'm obviously based in the UK and you're seeing everything in pound sterling, but of course you will see everything in your native currency. We do support multi-currency, of course, so that is not a problem. And you can see here your age debt in terms of aging. Again, this is same as what is in Sage 300. You can see money that's been promised to you already. So I have already discussed that I'm going to receive £10,000 or $10,000 this week. And this graphic You can change, you can make bigger. It is always updating. So every time I speak to somebody or every time I receive an email to say, yes, Richard, we will receive £10,000 next week, this will update to £17,000. So all the time this is changing. So here we can see what invoices are overdue. This is okay. This is what we have logged in dispute. So we know there is problems with these invoices. So I can click. This will take me to a filtered list of accounts with disputes. So we can see here that Festival Homes, we have a dispute of around $5,000 or £5,000. So I can go into here and let's see why. So I can see with the flag, you have a clear audit trail as to when it was created. I can see why. So it was created, I must review on the 25th of June. So we have a 1-month SLA to resolve this query or this dispute. So the customer is saying that the invoice was raised by mistake, will raise a credit. Okay, so this is against each transaction. You will also see when I select this invoice, you can see I've chased this invoice 3 times already. So number 1, number 2, and then the 3rd time we had a telephone call. Client thought the balance on this invoice has already been paid. The check or the payment was posted on Wednesday. So this is a clear audit trail. So if I need to share this with my colleague, then it's very easy because I go to reports, I go to transaction dossier reports, and I can share this with my colleague or the salespeople. So for Festival Homes, you can see all the notes for each invoice here. So very easy, and you can export to your different formats, Excel, PDF, etc. Okay, so that's very easy to see all the information in one place against your customer account. You can see the contacts come through from Sage 300. We have age debt, turnover. So you can see how much business you're doing with this customer before you have discussion. And you can also see the optional fields from Sage 300. So if you want to look at all accounts that are in the construction industry, then you can see this. Even in the accounts list, we can show you the account type as here. And then you can filter and sort your accounts by type. You can also categorize your customer accounts. So I have some marked as corporate accounts, some are key accounts, and some are standard ones. So what is the benefit of categorizing your customers? Well, it means that you can run different workflows for these customers. So if I have an email that I want to send to my corporate customers, I can just use some logic to say, if the account category equals corporate, then this will only look at these customers and we will email them. So I run this off. And it's good because it means I don't have to chase them. So I have no activity for this customer. Now, if I change the category, and you can have lots of these different workflows for you. Then we can chase many customers in one go. So if you have 50, 100, maybe 200 customers that you need to send the emails, it's very easy. You can also say no, do not send an email. Okay. This will create the email for me. And this is my job complete. So you can chase many customers in maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and it will automatically put a note against the customer. Now you will see now that I will show you some emails, and these will go out to the customer. But when we send the email, we can send emails in multiple languages. So this can be automated for you, so emails in different language. And also, the email that we send, we can, if you have a copy of the invoice saved on your server, then our software is clever that we can go and find it and attach it to the automated email. So what this does is it stops the customer to say, oh, we did not receive the invoice. Can you send a copy, please? So we can automate this, and it saves you a lot less administration. Now, the other nice automation that I will show you is here. So I can send an email before the invoice is due for payment. So what is the benefit? It means that if I send the email 5 or even 10 days before, then it means that if they have not received the invoice, then yes, I can send a copy, no problem. But also, if there is a problem, then I have just found 10 days to fix the problem, but still get paid on time. So this is what we call being proactive. Being proactive is so important. So again, this will look at all customers that got an invoice 10 days before, so minus 10. I want to send them an email, but I want to schedule a telephone call, which is this one here. I want to schedule a telephone call for tomorrow. So calling off days is 1. So I will just run this. And again, we have 25 customers. Maybe I'll just change this to 5. Okay. And again, this is my job complete. I will send the email reminder, and I have a telephone call scheduled for tomorrow. So I look in my to-do list. And these are my 5 calls I must make tomorrow. You can see automated. You will also see that I have some different reminders. So this one here is a reminder that I had already spoken to this customer and they promised to pay me by the 9th of June. We are on the 10th of June and this is still here. So this is bad. So I must phone them. So I chase the account. I select the 2 invoices and the customer is very sorry and they will promise to make payment today. So I will receive by Friday, 12th of June. So I sign. Yes. I can stop. And I can send another email by choosing the different severity. And that is my job complete. Now, if I go back to my home page, this is now updated to £13,000 because they've agreed to pay me by Friday the 12th. So that is this week, of course. So every time I'm speaking to somebody, I'm getting an amount, a value, and a date. So it's very important that these are logged in the system, and also we log and we send out all these workflows or these rules. So different rules can run at different times. So in this case, chasing email number 2 is any reminder that's 30 days past due of the invoice. So this is not good. So this means that the email I send is worded maybe a little different, maybe a little stronger, but it's customizable. Okay, all the letters and all the emails and all the reports we can customize. The rules, the workflow, we can automate to run every day for you. You do not have to press run. We can automate this every day for you. So if you're on holiday or if you have somebody that is sick or not well, then credit control will continue to work. And this is, again, a very big problem for businesses that are have very little time, and credit control is one job of many that they do. So these are all the different tasks. So in terms of the reports, then I can see every week between a certain date range. So this week or this month, this year, I can run a report, and this will tell me how many times we have a problem with faulty product. We have one time where the goods were not received. So Charles said that the goods were not received. So this was recorded, and this is around $6,000. So if we did not have this problem, I would have $6,000 more in my bank account. If we didn't sell faulty goods, I would have $60,000 extra in my account. So this has a big influence as how your business can improve operationally. Okay, so I hope that is a nice overview of the Credit Hound. There's a lot of features that I haven't had time to show you today. So if you want to find out more and see how Credit Hound can help you and your business, then please do get in touch with either myself or my colleagues at Sage, and we can assist.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, thank you everyone for your time today. We hope you have gained many new insights on how you can better automate your cash flow forecast and account receivable collection with Sage CashView and Draycir Credit Hound. If you have any questions, please write to us at info.asia@sage.com, which you can see in the chat box. Sage CashView, which you saw in Charles' presentation, is a free module in Sage 300 that is available to all Sage 300 customers. If you're interested to find out more, please indicate your interest when filling up the online survey, which you will see appear on your screen shortly at the end of this webinar. We will send a link of the recording to everyone's email so that you can rewatch the webinar. We also like to get your feedback on today's session. Please help us complete the survey, which will come up on your screen shortly. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Okay, we wish you a nice day. Stay well and keep safe, and have a pleasant evening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.